Let's talk about what migraines are and what migraines are not. That's where I want to start. First of all, a migraine is not a bad headache. Have you ever had a headache where you laid in bed and wondered if you were having a stroke? Migraineurs do. I think if you asked all your friends who say they have migraines, have you ever laid in bed and thought you were having a stroke? 90% of them would say, no, of course not, it's just a headache. And those that really are having a migraine would say, yeah, if I'm having a stroke, I'm not gonna know if it's a stroke or a migraine because that's how bad the pain is, okay? It's not just a bad headache. A headache, you can take something and the pain will go away. You can take a few Tylenol, you can get in the bathtub, you can lay down for a few minutes, drink some water even. Those things will help a headache. None of those things will put a dent in a migraine. No, Gatorade won't work. No, taking Alka-Seltzer won't work. No, putting your feet in cold water and warm water on your neck won't work. No, popping a couple of aspirin and laying in a dark room won't work. I can list all the things that won't work, but I can only give you a couple things that will work because that's how bad migraines are. Now let's discuss the pain. Generally, the pain will be localized on one side of the head. I get mine on my right hand side. That does not mean that's the only place where I'm getting pain. That just means that a lot of pain is there. It's a throbbing, pulsing pain, but also a stabby pain. And really and truly, every migraine sufferer has different pain levels at each migraine and throughout the life of their migraine. So if I'm having a particular pain right now, maybe next time it'll be different. And Joe over there, he's gonna have different than Mary. So everyone's going to have something different. I'm just telling you what mine are. So it's generally on my right hand side, and we have something called trigger points, and pain tends to emanate out of those trigger points. And you feel like if someone could just mash those trigger points hard enough that the pain would go away. But there are so many trigger points that there's practically no way to do that. That's why acupuncture can work, although I've never tried it because everything I read said that it doesn't. There have been a few people, anecdotal evidence that says acupuncture can work. I'm not after anecdotal evidence. I like the hard, in fact, I like the hard science, and I wasn't gonna spend my money on something that probably won't work anyway. Chiropractic can also help. Again, it's a lot along the lines of the acupuncture. I have gotten lots of chiropractic care. It has never put a dent in my migraines. It does help my pressure points to not feel as tight. That's all it really does. So that at least is something. Any kind of relief is something. My pressure points are here, here, all around my temples. I get some here sometimes, though those aren't the worst ones. I have 2 pressure points here, and I have a whole bunch on my neck. Let me show, on the back of my neck. Let me show you if I can. I get them here and here, here and here, here and here, and here. And they're just super, super, super tender. Right now, they're super tender because I had a massive migraine yesterday. And what I have today is called a migraine hangover. If you've ever actually had an actual hangover, it's similar to that. I feel low of energy, my stomach isn't right. I still have, the pain receptors are still firing up. So I do have a mild migraine, but not so bad that I'm in there popping my medications to try to get through the day. So let's also talk about that. On any given day, if you have chronic migraines, you have pain levels from 1 to 10. And if you have chronic migraines, your pain levels usually stay at about a 2 or 3 just every day of your life. You have pain levels of 2 or 3. Mine are generally a 3. Every single day of my life, I would say 28 to 29 days a month, I have some level of migraine. Now, they're not all 9s. Don't feel like I'm laying in bed in constant agony. They are mostly 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. And then about once or twice a week, they go up. And I mean the kind of pain where when I started this intro, I said, you think you may be having a stroke? That's what I get, those at least once a week. At least once every other week, if not every week. And the levels, and if you have chronic pain, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you just get used to the level of pain. You just learn to live at that level. Why don't I just take some Advil? Good question. I used to take Excedrin migraine by the handfuls when I would get migraines just to get through the day. I had little ones at home. I didn't want to be in constant pain, so I would take Excedrin migraine, and that caused an ulcer in my stomach. Now I can't take any NSAID, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. I can't take them any longer because I have an ulcer. In fact, I have to be careful about any kind of medication that I take because some of them are hard on the stomach. Can't take just any old thing now. And the reason I got that is from constantly trying to treat the pain, just to manage it, just to stay on top of it. I've tried everything out there in some form or another, and there are many classes that you can try. So what works for you may not work for me. Some of them cause me to have more pain. Oh yes. I've taken high blood pressure medication, and it caused so much pain across my neck, the back of my head and my neck, that I would literally cry until I could take something to counteract the effects of that. I've taken Imitrex, and it just tightens my neck up so tight that, again, I'm taking something to counteract that. I've taken amitriptyline, and it's what it does is it helps you to not get as many, but unfortunately it's an antidepressant, and so you're dealing with all the side effects of an antidepressant. There are many more things that I've tried. None of those things cured me. None of those things got me up to, one migraine a week. None of those things did anything that impacted my life in a positive way. So when I was in Singapore, I decided that I was going to research Botox, and if it was something for me, get it. Now, I know it's a botulinum toxin, and that sounds so scary. Oh my goodness, I would never do that. But if you have chronic pain, you'll be super surprised what you're willing to do, because I always said that too. I wasn't getting it for the cosmetic reasons, although if you want to do it for cosmetic reasons, I am 100% behind you doing that. I got it because if it could cut down my pain I was willing to do it. So I made an appointment with a neurologist in Singapore, and let me just say that in Singapore, usually families have 1 or 2 children, and if you have 3, you are considered a large family in Singapore. Generally, people have 1 child. It's not a law, but that is just generally what is done. So I went to the neurologist, and when I told her I think I had 7 kids at the time, but I had a grown daughter, so I had 6 kids at home. When I told her I had 7 kids, she said the reason I had so many migraines is because I had 7 kids. Yes, she did. So I left and never went back. Now, it's true, we have triggers. I said we have trigger points. Don't confuse them with triggers. Everyone's triggers are also different. And yes, stress is one of my triggers, but I'm telling you, my kids don't usually stress me out. An international move stressed me out, and I had constant pain during the international move, ranging from generally about a 6 to a 9. I stayed right in that. Yes, stress can cause migraines. Also, red food diet causes mine. Lack of sleep causes mine. I have a lot of kids. A lot of breastfeeding, a lot of sleepless nights. So yes, those things have contributed to my migraine pain. But having 7 kids is not the reason for my migraines. Migraines are neurological. That's why a change in diet won't help unless something in your diet is a trigger. That's why taking Alka-Seltzer won't help, because it's neurological. It's in your brain. You've got to fix whatever's wrong in your brain. Here's where Botox comes into play. And they don't know exactly what mechanism causes Botox to work so well. What they do know is that it works. And they figured that out just over the course of women getting Botox shots for cosmetic reasons and coming back and saying that reduced my migraine pain. A normal Botox session might be across your forehead and here in your lines. You might get some in your laugh lines, and that would be the extent of it. For Botox for migraines, we're going to get a few more shots than that. You might pay $300 to $600 to have, this part of your face done. We're paying about $1,200 to get it done every 3 months. Okay, so it's a lot more injected than just cosmetically. So let me show you the areas. The areas we get it injected in are basically our trigger points. We're doing it here, we're doing it here, we're doing it here, although Dr. Komathi did mine in my temples because these are a huge trigger point for me. She just did mine and here at my temples, and that really, really helped. Then we fill in those trigger points in our neck, and then we get our shoulders done too. You don't do your shoulders when you go to get cosmetic Botox. And what happens is it freezes those muscles, and by freezing those muscles, that somehow sends something to your brain telling you to stop sending the pain. And so it cuts off that pain receptor. Again, they don't really know what's happening, but they do know that it's working. Let me tell you my story of exactly what happened when I went to go see Dr. Komathi at the Lifestyle Clinic, Camden Hospital. I decided that I didn't like the neurologist. Could a dermatologist do this? And sure enough, I called up Dr. Komathi and made an appointment. This beautiful, beautiful, tall, sweet, caring Indian lady came into the room and we discussed Botox for migraines. And I went ahead and I did it that day. I'd already talked to insurance and they would cover it. And so she just did here and here. That's what we started with. I was super nervous about having it done. I wasn't sure if it was going to be for me. She did talk to me extensively about how, you know, what the research is showing and that she thought she could help me. No, she had never done Botox for migraines, but she had recently been at a symposium where they had talked about it. So it was fresh in her mind. And I think she was excited to do it. I came back at 3 months and I had some relief. I had been having constant migraines daily, and they cut back to, you know, 4 or 5 a week, which isn't great, but it's certainly better than 7 a week. So this time I said, let's do a few more. Let's go ahead and do, you know, the temples this time. And so the next time we did the entire face, and that decreased it a little bit more. And the next time I went back, I said, give me some in my neck. And so we did my neck. And each time, you know, I'm discussing things with her and we're working it out. Holy grail preventative for migraines is when I had it in my neck. Boom! I suddenly went from having 4 or 5 a week to having 1 gentle migraine a week. And by gentle, I mean pain scale 3 or 4, maybe 1 massive one a month. And that is exceptional. And it changed my life, so you can understand why I'm willing to take a chance with this. I'm going to tell you in a few minutes why I'm not really taking a chance. So when that made such a huge impact, I knew that this was going to be a miracle for me. And the hope is that if you do it long enough, over time, you make those receptors stop sending as much pain. And so over time, you can spread the treatments out. And in the end, your goal is to obviously get off all the medications. And what we did find was that initially, the Botox would last till about maybe 9 weeks, and the pain would come back, and then I would have a lot of pain until the 12 weeks ran out. You can only go every 3 months. What we ended up doing was giving me a certain amount of injections the first time I went in, then I'd come in 2 weeks later after it had taken effect, and she would hit up any kind of trigger point that I had left. So if I had a couple trigger points in my neck, or maybe one in my shoulder, maybe I had one here, she would just hit those up. The last time I went, before I moved to America, was the best one I'd ever received, and it lasted for about 4.5 months, which was the longest I had gone pain-free. Now, when I have breakthrough pain, I take tramadol, and that, along with some Panadol, again, because of my ulcer, I can only take things that are gentle on my stomach, will help a level 4 or 5 migraine. If it gets up to an 8, I'm popping tramadol like it's chocolate candy on Christmas morning. Now, why is this safe? So why do I feel like this is safe? Well, first of all, when you inject Botox, it doesn't migrate. If you're doing it for a cosmetic reason, you might want to think about getting Zolman, because it does migrate a little more, so it kind of looks more natural. I'm not doing it for that purpose. I'm doing it because I want to be pain-free, and I want to do it in the safest way possible. Which do you think is more safe? Getting a shot in your head that's going to stay where it's put, or taking NSAIDs that are going to give you an ulcer and you can no longer eat bacon and eggs for the rest of your life? I do have a treatment for ulcers that's practically a cure, and if you're interested, comment below and I can do a video on that. Off track, buddy trails. You inject it and it stays where it's injected. It goes in the muscle and it stays there. It doesn't migrate. If it migrated, you'd have paralyzed eyes and your lips would be paralyzed, but it doesn't. It stays exactly where you put it. And that's obvious when you get it done. The first time I got it done, she did it a little bit lower and I couldn't move my eyebrows. See, it's completely worn off now. I couldn't move my eyebrows. So when I came in the next time, I said, can't move my eyebrows, haven't been able to move them. And so she did them up a little bit higher, and then I had full range of motion and never had that problem again. If they moved around, then when she puts it here, then it would make my eyebrows where I couldn't move them the rest of the time. Okay, that was a lot. I want to just end by saying Botox has changed my life. In Singapore, it was 100% covered by insurance. In America, not so much. The entire system is different. You probably know better than I do how the insurance works here. We're gonna have to pay for part of it. And that's okay, because this is life-changing for me. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to comment below. I might answer all the questions in the comments, or if there's enough questions, I'll happily do another video. I love to talk, can you tell? Thank you guys for watching. If you're new to my channel, you want to subscribe. I'm going to have some before and after pictures come up with the Botox. I'm going to take you on my next neurologist appointment when I get my shots here. So just subscribe so you don't miss any of it. And here's a video in the meantime.